So I was going for a little bit of understated elegance with this one, and what we're going to use here are the little set of embossing folders that have the words on. Now, it's not very often we think to do cards like this and use the words, but you see we've got happy birthday, thank you, thinking of you, and sending love, and these are all little individual embossing folders. So what I'm going to do is we'll do sending love for this one, and I've cut myself a little square of the cardstock. Doesn't have to be the exact same size of the folder, it just has to be the right size to fit inside. So you can see that we've got the sending love just going to fit inside lovely. Now, again, like we've done with all of our other embossing, it's a thinner folder, so it's just regular folder. You're going to use the 2 cutting plates. I'm going to add in that embossing mat, the magnetic shim, just to give it a little bit of extra pressure. And if you're never sure whether you can do this or not, my advice would always be, give it a try. Right? If it's too thick, the machine will reject it, but it's always worth giving it a little bit of a try. So you can see there, that's given me a lovely, lovely deep emboss. And actually for this technique, I don't need a deep emboss, but it's still nice to have it, right? So what I thought I'd do is then use that to actually draw over. So I'm going to use one of our metallic pens. Now, if you were really not confident, what you could do here is you could literally just use the very fine end and colour over where that piece, where the embossed part is raised up. Can you see I'm just literally colouring over? However, I am a little bit more gung-ho, so I'm going to use the thicker brush end, and I'm literally going to do it as though I was brush lettering. So still using that as a base, and I'm going to come over and use that lovely thick brush end and just draw over where we've got that. You see, I would never have been confident enough to brush letter that. However, it's a lovely font. It's worked beautifully colouring over that, and that's going to form the base part of going on my card. So pop that to one side and we'll get the rest of the card ready. Now all I've done is I've taken one of the larger cards, so it's just the side fold card, and then I've cut a little bit of black card and then the coloured cardstock, the pattern cardstock, to go on the front. And again, just like I've shown you before, if you're not that confident at getting these stuck down the same place, if you find your matting and layering you're not brilliant at, the collal glue, so this is the all-purpose glue. The great thing is it gives you that manoeuvrability, so I can just always be manoeuvring this exactly into place. So once we've got this where we need it, I'm going to do the same again with the next layer. And if you find that you get extra bits of this glue kind of oozing out where you don't want it, you'll see that it easily just rubs away. So that's given me time to manoeuvre that and get it exactly, those mats and layers are exactly where I want them to be. Now, that would have a little heart down here, so let's do a little bit of stamping. Then you get plenty of stamps in the set this time. So I'm going to just take that little stamp off here. So a little bit of a tip, when you are doing your stamping, what you want to do is the first time you stamp, we're going to do what's called stamping off. So you're going to just take a scrap piece of paper. I've just got some nice easy scrap paper here. I'm going to use our Finesse alcohol proof dyeing. Now, any of the finesses would be fine, the waterproof or the alcohol proof. Basically what you want is, the idea with finesse is it's going to let you have that real detail in your stamping. So I'm going to stamp it, and I'm going to stamp it a few times onto some scrap paper, and the more times I go over it, the nicer this will come up, the stamp. Now, a little bit of a tip, if you want to help it along on its way, you can just sand over the top of the stamp to kind of release that first part. And if you haven't got a sanding block, here's what I found was brilliant to work with. The ink applicators. Obviously you've got that ink applicator, and we've got where we've had the Velcro side. So I can just ruffle up the top with the Velcro. And all that's doing is aggravating the surface of the stamp. So now, if I go and do the same, look how much easier that ink is taking. So now when we stamp that, I'm getting a much crisper, deeper image. So it's just a nice little bit of a tip what you can do there. So what I'm going to do is use a little bit of the cardstock that's left, going to ink this up onto here, and then I'm going to just cut around this and we can stick this on the card. And I've actually, as well as cutting out this one, I've already cut myself one of the base pieces of card, and I'm going to stick these down but just ever so slightly offset them. So again, your collard glue is going to be brilliant because you can stick these down in line, manoeuvre them into place, you see, and then just ever so slightly offset them. And this is where I talk about rubbing away that excess glue that you don't need. So that's giving me a much stronger kind of shadow heart, little topper to go on my card. So I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to take where we've got the sending love. I'm going to use that glue so that it goes into all the little debossed sections. Pop that over there. Manoeuvre it into place, and then I can build up the whole card. And I'm going to get this a little bit 3D. So I'm going to put some 3D glue gel on the back of my sending love. 3 nice big blobs, and then my little hearts are just going to tuck behind, again a nice little blob of glue, and they'll just go in the background. And it makes a super simple card, but it's just about using those lovely statement word pieces for something a little bit different.